How is Dustin and Suzie's never-ending duet linked to Dungeons and Dragons? Will Erica reveal powers we didn't know she had? And how can the boys' favorite game inspire the new monster in Season 4? Hi, I'm Dylan. Let's get this party started. Will and Eleven. Before we continue, there's room for disagreement when it comes to identifying each kid's D&D character, because they evolve throughout Stranger Things, and it also depends on which edition of D&D you use. So consider this your broad overview of the most popular theories, and do share your thoughts in the comments. Meet Will the Wizard. We often saw Will in wizard robes, calling himself Will the Wise. Back in Season 1, Will also drew himself as a wizard in one of their games. A defining feature of wizards is their ability to cast spells, and we've seen Will do this, like his plane shift spell to transport the boys to the Upside Down in the Season 1 finale. Oh, and did you realize that Will's character is named after one of the statistics in D&D? Yep, in the game, different characters vary in their strengths and certain basic defenses. Two of these defenses are Fortitude, for good health to fight against things like sickness, but also Will, for mental bravery against magical enchantments. Cool, right? In D&D, wizards are strong-willed, like Will, but weaker when it comes to fortitude. And in the Season 1 finale, the Stranger Things plot follows this rule. How? Well, after Will was found with that slimy tentacle in his mouth, his fortitude to protect himself from sickness failed when we later saw him vomit those slugs into his bathroom sink. Ugh. But Will also has another power, this one associated with D&D's Ranger class. You see, a Ranger can sense evil-minded presences within close range. After the Mind Flayer selected Will, he gained this ability, and Mike called Will their cleric. A cleric can typically control undead creatures. Once Will was possessed by the Shadow Monster, he gained power of the Demodogs, so his growing connection to the Upside Down does link to the cleric class as well. Moving on to Eleven the Wizard, or is she something else? In Season 2, Mike called Elle their mage, or wizard. Do you remember the spell Eleven cast by accident in the sensory deprivation tank? Well, in D&D, this spell would be called Gate, the highest spell level possible. Gate creates an ultra-dimensional connection between the kid's plane of existence and the plane on which dwells a being of great power. After casting spells, Eleven also has to recharge, just like wizards in D&D have to. But some theories view Eleven as a sorcerer, attributing her magic to her bloodline, or a gift, referring to Brenner, aka the Warlock's experiments on her pregnant mom. Eleven does appear to have been born telekinetic, meaning her powers are innate. What do you think? Now let's have a look at Lucas and Hopper. Meet Lucas the Ranger. The broad concept of a ranger would probably fit with any of the group, yet it's clear that Lucas is quite willing to risk his life while wielding weapons. Sure enough, Lucas will always resort to weapons to solve problems, whether it's a slingshot or a wrist rocket, similar to the ranger's bow and arrow. Rangers often process information at face value. For example, Lucas easily believed Will was dead when the fake body was located in the river, and he quickly assumed Eleven was a traitor when she led them away from the gate, and he struggled to accept another possibility. Lucas doesn't get as much attention for being a hero in the series, but he was instrumental in winning 3 fights in Season 3. Meet Hopper the Ranger. Chief Hopper, physically strong and a good fighter, is one of the strongest and bravest warriors in Stranger Things. He's also committed to helping those he loves, although both Hopper and Lucas are sometimes a bit hot-headed and impulsive. Because Hopper spent a lot of his life as a loner, especially after his daughter died, he seems even more like a ranger. In the D&D universe, rangers tend to go solo. Oh, and how about Hopper the Barbarian? We often see him drawing from a reservoir of anger at a world full of pain, a characteristic of a barbarian. Well, the Stranger Things producers didn't have to use only one D&D character as inspiration, and probably wanted to make each character as multifaceted as possible, as you'll see next. Dustin and Robin. Meet Dustin the Rogue. Right, so one of Will's drawings shows him as a ninja-like hooded figure that matches the rogue look. Rogues are often crafty, intelligent, and practical, like Dustin, who values his ongoing curiosity journey. Let's pause for a quick side note. There are other fans who make the case that Dustin is a druid due to his love of scientific exploration. When the kids were searching for the gate, Dustin used his skills in knowledge science to come up with the idea to use the compasses to lead them to the gate. And wait, in Season 3, we also saw Dustin as a bard. In D&D, bards are both warriors and spellcasters, with their skills connected to their charisma and ability to weave a story. A bard is also often the one who gives a cry to arms that can mean the difference between victory and defeat. That's just what we saw on screen. When it was time for the final battle with the Mind Flayer, Dustin's never-ending duet with Suzie gave his friends the confidence they needed right then. Pretty cool once you notice it, right? Talking of bards, our favorite new character, Robin, also fits that description. Robin is very smart and excellent at tackling problems by thinking outside of the box. Bards are known as one of the cleverer character classes, and they're often inventive, like Robin. The party wouldn't have cracked the Russian code without her creative thinking abilities. Now let's discuss Mike and Erica. Apart from being Dungeon Master, in Season 2, Mike identified himself as the party's paladin. I'm our paladin, Will's our cleric, Dustin's our bard, Lucas is our ranger, and Elle is our mage. Will's drawings portray Mike in heavy armor with a shield and a crown, like a leader might wear. Paladins are described as warriors with leadership qualities. They can heal and mend, but they can also defeat evildoers. In Season 1, Mike quickly organized his friends to search for Will, showing his leadership qualities. Mike's also knowledgeable, capable of figuring out things that no one else can fathom, and is a good person willing to stand up for the people he loves, just like a paladin. Next, meet Erica the cleric. Clerics have divinely appointed powers that give them control of life and death. And certainly, Erica's abilities to deal with the supernatural battles in Hawkins were impressive, including her uncanny insight and knowledge about so many things. Does this mean we'll see much more of Erica and her clerical powers in Season 4? We hope so. And next, it's time for Steve and Max. So, while we first saw Steve as a douchebag jock, his character certainly evolved. As the series progressed, he took on the role of a D&D paladin, because of his dedication to protecting Hawkins and his young friends. And we finally saw him winning a fight and getting revenge against Billy. Talking of fights, other theories would rather categorize Steve as a fighter.
What do you mean?
While he's certainly not been the best fighter since day one, many of the fights he lost were skewed against him. But more importantly, he displays one of the most important aspects of the fighter class. He learns how to be a better fighter as he goes along. We'll give it to Steve, he always shows up to the front lines of the fighting. How about Max? Based on her actions and abilities we've witnessed, she could fit the thief rogue archetype. She was originally the new kid on the block, and let's not forget Billy, her violent and unpredictable stepbrother who didn't treat her that well when he was still alive. So it seems that Max had to live by her wits from her first day in Hawkins, and living by one's wits is a hallmark of the rogue class in D&D. Next up, dungeons, devourers, and zombies. First, did you know that in most D&D campaigns, the party meets in a tavern to collect allies, organize their strategy, delegate tasks, and all those fun things? In Season 3, we saw Steve, Dustin, and Robin meeting at their tavern, Scoops Ahoy! It was also here that they recruited their essential ally, the sassy Erica. In the meantime, Will and his group of players continued to gather in their tavern, Mike's basement. Another screaming D&D similarity we see in Season 3 is what gamers call a dungeon crawl. After the party is assembled, the Dungeon Master, aka DM, will normally send them on one of those crawls, which is characterized by a dark and confusing maze. During a dungeon crawl, D&D players often find buried treasure or crack some secret that helps them beat the monster. Did you spot the link between a dungeon crawl and that scene where the Scoops Ahoy group crawled through the Starcourt Mall's maze of air ducts? In doing so, they 1. Cracked the evil Russians' code, and 2. Found a way into the labyrinth beneath the mall. And it's not only the kids who participated in dungeon crawls. Yep, we see Joyce, Hopper, and Bauman also make their way through air ducts. Next, in D&D terms, Billy might not necessarily have looked like an intellect devourer, one of the game's scary as hell monsters, but he sure displayed all the typical qualities and behaviors of an intellect devourer. In the game, these creatures typically have the appearance of a huge brain walking around on 4 demon legs, and they feed on the consciousness of their victims. Also, they're known to take over a host on behalf of their Mind Flayer master, which is exactly what happened to Billy. On that note, you saw another D&D similarity in Season 3. Yes, the Flayed looked a lot like D&D's Juju zombies. The Flayed, think of Billy, Heather, and Tom, are a clear reference to these zombies that were designed to serve as undead puppets to the Mind Flayer. That's what we saw, since the Flayed could still walk, talk, and behave as they did before they were controlled by the Mind Flayer, which made them blend into Hawkins without triggering any suspicion. Scary stuff. Right, let's speculate about Season 4's monster. So firstly, it's been confirmed that the 1982 horror movie, The Thing, will play a big role in Season 4. Now, that combined with an overview of the D&D book, Tome of Foes, which is full of monsters, leaves us with a few clues. The monster we might meet next could just be the Oblex, a creature created by a boy who spent the day working with the designers of Dungeons and Dragons. The Oblex looks like a giant red ball of jelly with dozens of slimy tentacles and screaming faces inside of its body. The obelisk can, according to D&D designer Jeremy Crawford, absorb the memories of other beings, and they can then create a duplicate of that person tethered to this umbilical cord of ooze behind them. The stuff of nightmares. Ugh. That's it for today. What's your favorite D&D theory? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and remember to stay awesome.